Luftwaffe fighter ace Heinz Knoke saw hundreds of American bombers and knew the war was lost. May 12, 1943. Luftwaffe Operations Center, Berlin, Germany. Oberst Werner Mölders reviewed the intelligence report with barely concealed amusement. He tapped ash from his cigarette onto the photographs of American B-17 formations. "Look at this," Mölders said, sliding the documents across the polished oak table. "The Americans believe they can bomb Germany in daylight with these flying barns." Major Klaus Dieter nodded, pouring schnapps into crystal glasses. "They lost 30% at Schweinfurt, 30% in a single raid." Hauptmann Friedrich Weber, Chief of Industrial Intelligence, leaned forward with his brow furrowed. "Herr Oberst, the production figures from America concern me. Their capacity appears to be," but Mölders waved him off. "Friedrich, we've destroyed over 200 of their bombers in 3 months. Our kill ratios are 15-1, 20-1 on good days." At Regensburg, the Luftwaffe had destroyed 24 B-17s for 1 Bf-109 lost. At Bremen, 32 B-17s destroyed against 2 German fighters. At Wilhelmshaven, 18 bombers for 0 Luftwaffe losses. The mathematics were undeniable. German technical superiority combined with pilot expertise created an impenetrable aerial fortress over the Reich. What Mölders didn't know, what none of them could have known as they celebrated in that operations center, was that American industrial mobilization would place over 12,000 heavy bombers over Germany within 18 months. The numbers would become apocalyptic: 3-1 American numerical superiority by early 1944, 5-1 by mid-1944, 10-1 by early 1945. 43,000 American aircraft produced in 1943 alone, 96,000 produced in 1944. The laughter in that operations center would become history's most expensive miscalculation, measured in 410,000 Luftwaffe personnel killed and 3,500,000 German civilians dead from strategic bombing. March 1943. Multiple locations across Germany, the Luftwaffe owned the skies. At Hamburg, German fighters achieved kill ratios of 12-1. At Kiel, 16-1. At Emden, 22-1. The Americans came in formations of 50 or 80 bombers, and German interceptors cut through them like scythes through wheat. Oberst Mölders flew the Bf-109 G6, a machine with specifications that seemed to guarantee air superiority. Maximum speed, 386 mph at 22,640 feet. Service ceiling, 37,890 feet. Armament, 130 Mk-108 cannon firing 650 rounds per minute, 213 Mg-131 machine guns with 300 rounds per gun. Rate of climb, 3,300 feet per minute. Combat radius, 350 miles with drop tanks. The aircraft could climb to 16,400 feet in 6 minutes, intercept American formations at altitude, and return to base with fuel to spare. Recent American failures filled Luftwaffe intelligence reports with confidence. On February 4, 1943, Americans lost 23 B-17s over Wilhelmshaven, a 23% loss rate from a force of 91 bombers. On March 18, 16 B-17s destroyed over Vegesack. On April 17, 16 more over Bremen. Mission after mission demonstrated that unescorted daylight bombing meant suicide for American crews. The 8th Air Force calculated they needed 300 aircraft to strike a target complex with reasonable expectation that 200 would reach the target and 100 would return. Acceptable losses hovered at 10%. Actual losses frequently exceeded 15%, with some missions experiencing 30% casualties. Oberst Werner Mölders had personally destroyed 43 Allied aircraft. He wore the Knight's Cross with oak leaves. His unit, Jagdschwader 51, had accumulated over 2,800 aerial victories. Mölders had shot down 8 B-17s in March alone, 6 in April, 11 in the first 2 weeks of May. His combat record included 13 American bombers, 18 British bombers, and 12 fighters from multiple Allied air forces. When Mölders spoke about air combat, experienced officers listened. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber continued collecting data that troubled him. American aluminum production reached 920,000 tons in 1942. German production, 260,000 tons. American aircraft engine production, 138,000 units in 1942. German production, 40,000 units. American aviation gasoline production, 514,000 barrels daily. German synthetic fuel production, 72,000 barrels daily. Weber presented these figures to Merlders weekly. Merlders dismissed them weekly. Numbers on paper, Friedrich. What matters is the pilot in the cockpit and the kills in his logbook. Lieutenant Heinz Knoke, fighter pilot with Jagdschwader 11, experienced the supremacy firsthand on May 4, 1943. His unit intercepted a formation of 65 B-17s over Antwerp. Knoke engaged at 11:47 hours. His first burst struck a B-17's number 3 engine at 11:47:23. The engine exploded. Elapsed time 23 seconds. At 11:48:10, Knoke destroyed a second B-17, hitting the cockpit and wing root. Kill time 47 seconds. At 11:49:55, a third B-17 fell, its tail section separating after a 4-second burst. Kill time 1 minute 45 seconds total engagement time. Knoke landed at 12:35 with 3 confirmed kills. His aircraft had expended 180 rounds of 20 ammunition and 420 rounds of 7.92 ammunition. The entire engagement lasted less than 3 minutes of actual combat. The mathematics seemed irrefutable. Willow Run, Michigan, March 1943. Charles Sorensen walked through the Ford Willow Run bomber plant as B-24 Liberators took shape on the world's longest assembly line. This single facility produced one B-24 every 63 minutes during peak production. Every hour, another 4-engine heavy bomber rolled onto the tarmac. Every day, 21 aircraft. Every week, 147 aircraft. Every month, 630 aircraft. In January 1941, America produced just 173 4-engine bombers monthly across all manufacturers. By June 1942, production reached 531 monthly. By December 1942, production hit 1,087 monthly. By March 1943, Willow Run alone was producing 432 B-24s monthly. A single Ford facility producing more heavy bombers than Germany's entire aircraft industry, which manufactured 394 4-engine bombers in all of 1942. This single facility was producing more than the entire German aviation industry. Rose O'Malley, previously a seamstress from Detroit, now operated a pneumatic riveting system that installed 847 rivets per 8-hour shift into B-24 fuselage sections. She and 14 co-workers completed one entire fuselage section every 93 minutes. Rose's team produced more completed fuselage sections in 1 week than the Heinkel Works in Rostock produced in 1 month. Her riveting station installed more rivets daily than the entire workforce at Focke-Wulf's Bremen facility installed in a week. Rose earned $42.50 weekly, more than a Luftwaffe fighter pilot's monthly salary when converted to Reichsmarks. She produced structural components for 12 B-24s monthly. A German riveter at Messerschmitt Regensburg contributed to 1.7 Bf-109s monthly. James Washington, from Birmingham, Alabama, operated stamping presses that produced 2,400 aluminum bulkhead frames daily. His single press station's daily output exceeded the entire monthly production of bulkhead frames at the Junkers Dessau facility. Washington's station operated 3 shifts, 24 hours daily, producing 16,800 frames weekly. The Junkers facility produced 950 frames weekly across all shifts and all aircraft types. Washington earned $38.75 weekly plus overtime. His station alone produced enough components to support 117 B-24s monthly, more than Germany produced of all 4-engine aircraft types combined. Henry Morrison, $1-a-year man from General Motors, managed logistics for aluminum sheet delivery to Willow Run. His department coordinated 14,000 tons of aluminum sheet metal monthly, arriving by rail every 18 minutes during operating hours. The aluminum arrived pre-cut, pre-formed, and sequenced for assembly line integration. Morrison's logistics operation moved more aluminum in 1 week than the Messerschmitt, Focke-Wulf, and Heinkel Works combined received in 1 month. Americans discarded 340 tons of aluminum scrap daily at Willow Run. Material that failed quality inspection, was trimmed from sheet metal, or represented production overruns. Germany allocated 240 tons of aluminum monthly to the entire Luftwaffe for field repairs, modifications, and spare parts manufacturing. The waste from this single operation exceeded Germany's total monthly allocation for maintaining its frontline air force. Workers threw away defective rivets that failed quality inspection, approximately 24,000 rivets daily. Germany rationed rivets by the unit, with each aircraft maintenance depot receiving 18,000 rivets monthly for all repairs across all aircraft types. Willow Run discarded more rivets daily than a German air base received for an entire month of keeping its fighters operational. The Willow Run cafeteria discarded more food daily than the Luftwaffe base at Richlin received monthly for its 2,400 personnel. The cafeteria served 40,000 meals daily to workers across 3 shifts. Daily food waste, spoiled items, overproduction, and plate scrapings totaled 1,800 pounds. Richlin received 1,200 pounds of fresh meat monthly for all personnel. American workers threw away more protein daily than German pilots received monthly. Testing protocols required destructive testing of every 500th completed aircraft component. Willow Run destroyed 93 complete aircraft sections monthly in stress testing, vibration testing, and failure analysis. These destroyed components represented enough material to build 7 complete B-24s. Germany's monthly production of 4-engine bombers never exceeded 12 aircraft in 1942 and barely reached 35 aircraft monthly by mid-1943. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber received intelligence reports about Willow Run through agents in neutral countries and interrogations of downed American aircrews. He calculated that a single American automobile plant converted to bomber production exceeded total German capacity for manufacturing 4-engine aircraft. Weber presented these findings to Luftwaffe High Command on April 8, 1943. His report documented that Willow Run would produce 5,400 B-24s in 1943 alone, 14 times Germany's total 4-engine aircraft production. The report was filed as unlikely intelligence requiring verification and forgotten. May 29, 1943. Over the North Sea. 10:23 hours. Lieutenant Heinz Knoke was conducting a routine patrol when radar vectored his swarm toward an incoming formation. Knoke climbed to 24,000 feet and leveled out. At 10:23, he spotted them. More than 300 aircraft, not 50, not 80. 300 4-engine bombers in a single formation stretching from horizon to horizon. At 10:24:15, Knoke engaged the nearest B-17, attacking from the 7 o'clock high position. His 20 cannon struck the bomber's left wing between engines 1 and 2. At 10:24:38, the wing failed and separated from the fuselage. Elapsed time from engagement to destruction, 23 seconds. Kill time, 23 seconds. At 10:25:10, Knoke engaged a second B-17 from 6 o'clock level. His cannon fire walked up the fuselage, destroying the tail gun position and elevator controls. At 10:25:47, the bomber entered an uncontrolled dive. Kill time, 37 seconds. At 10:26:30, Knoke attacked a third B-17, this time from 12 o'clock level in a head-on pass. His cannon struck the cockpit at 10:26:34. The bomber exploded. Kill time, 4 seconds. At 10:27:15, Knoke engaged a straggling B-17 that had dropped below the formation. He fired a 2-second burst at 10:27:18. The bomber's number 4 engine exploded at 10:27:20. The wing folded at 10:27:33. Kill time, 18 seconds. Knoke's ammunition was exhausted. He broke off engagement at 10:28:00. Total engagement duration, 3 minutes 45 seconds. Enemy losses from Knoke's attacks, 4 B-17s destroyed, 4 bombers damaged and struggling to maintain formation. American losses from the entire German interceptor force, 23 B-17s destroyed, 41 damaged. German losses, 0 aircraft, 0 pilots, kill ratio 23-0. The ammunition expended in this 3-minute engagement exceeded the monthly allocation for the entire Richlin test base's defensive armament. Knoke landed at Jever Airfield at 10:51 hours. He immediately reported to his commanding officer. Herr Major, there were over 300 bombers. I counted them, more than 300 in a single formation. Major Hans Naumann reviewed the report skeptically. 300 is impossible, Heinz. Perhaps 120, perhaps 150. Your combat excitement doubled the count. Knoke insisted. Herr Major, I counted carefully, more than 300 aircraft. If the Americans can put 300 bombers over Germany now, what will they send in 6 months? Naumann filed the report with an addendum noting probable overcount due to combat stress. The actual count, verified from American mission records, 323 B-17s participated in the mission, with 287 reaching German airspace. Knoke's count was accurate. Oberst Merlders received Knoke's report at Luftwaffe Operations Center. He read it, lit another cigarette, and dropped the report into a filing cabinet. Knoke is a fine pilot but prone to exaggeration, Merlders told his staff. 300 bombers would require American production of 1,500 monthly. Impossible. American four-engine bomber production in May 1943, 1,587 aircraft. May 1943 through November 1943. Systematic escalation. Intelligence dismissed the reports as statistical anomalies. Hauptmann-Weber collected mission reports showing steadily increasing American bomber formations. May 29, 323 B-17s. June 13, 289 B-17s and B-24s combined. July 24, 315 heavy bombers. August 17, 376 heavy bombers attacking Schweinfurt and Regensburg simultaneously. September 6, 407 heavy bombers. October 14, 291 bombers in a single wave, followed by 291 in a second wave 3 hours later. Weber assembled these reports into a presentation for Luftwaffe High Command. He presented on September 20, 1943. His presentation included one slide that caused uncomfortable silence. American heavy bomber production, 2,100 aircraft monthly as of August 1943. German four-engine aircraft production, 40 aircraft monthly. A single American aircraft manufacturer, Consolidated Aircraft in Fort Worth, produces more B-24s monthly than Germany produces of all aircraft types combined. Weber continued. American production, 21,000 four-engine bombers in 1943 projected. German production, 470 four-engine aircraft in 1943 projected. The mathematics are irrefutable. We cannot shoot down American bombers faster than American factories replace them. Current Luftwaffe kill ratio, 15-1 on favorable missions. American replacement ratio, 50-1. We destroy 15 bombers in a successful mission. Americans replace 50 before the next mission. Reichsmarschall Goering interrupted. These figures are defeatist propaganda. America lacks the industrial organization for such production. They are a nation of shopkeepers and farmers. Goering cited American performance in World War I as evidence. He noted American difficulties expanding military production in 1940 and 1941. He dismissed Weber's data as misinterpreted intelligence from unreliable sources. They tried concentrated attacks on lead formations. The Americans expanded their formations and deepened their defensive boxes. They attempted attacking from 12 o'clock high American bombers, strengthened nose armament, and added chin turrets. They tried attacking at dawn before fighter escorts arrived. American fighters increased their range and began arriving over targets with bombers. They attempted night intercepts. Americans improved radar and route planning. On August 17, 1943, American forces struck Schweinfurt and Regensburg with 376 heavy bombers. The Luftwaffe assembled 300 fighters from bases across Germany. The engagement began at 11:42 hours. At 11:47, German fighters shot down 3 B-17s. Kill time averaged 43 seconds per bomber. At 11:52, 5 more bombers destroyed. At 11:58, 4 more. At 12:03, 6 more. At 12:08, 3 more. At 12:15, 7 more. At 12:22, 4 more. The engagement continued for 3 hours as German fighters rearmed, refueled, and launched again. Total American losses: 60 bombers destroyed, 117 damaged, 600 crewmen killed or captured. Total German losses: 25 fighters destroyed, 27 damaged, 19 pilots killed. Kill ratio: 2.4-1, the worst German performance of the war to date. But the mathematics had shifted. American bomber production in August 1943, 2,147 four-engine aircraft. German fighters destroyed, 60 aircraft. American replacement time, 8 hours and 13 minutes. The Luftwaffe had destroyed 60 bombers. American factories replaced them before midnight the same day. Hauptmann-Weber presented the post-battle analysis. We achieved a kill ratio of 2.4 to 1, inadequate for attrition warfare when the enemy outnumbers us 15 to 1 and outproduces us 50 to 1. To maintain current force levels, we require kill ratios of 50 to 1. We achieve 15 to 1 on our best days. The mathematics have become unfavorable. Weber's analysis included production trends. Boeing Seattle, 350 B-17s monthly. Douglas Long Beach, 280 B-17s monthly. Lockheed Vega, 210 B-17s monthly. Consolidated Fort Worth, 430 B-24s monthly. Consolidated San Diego, 380 B-24s monthly. Ford Willow Run, 520 B-24s monthly. Total, 2,174 engine bombers monthly from 6 facilities. Germany's entire aviation industry, 1,050 aircraft monthly of all types combined: fighters, bombers, transports, trainers, reconnaissance aircraft. This single category of American production exceeded Germany's total aviation output. Lieutenant Heinz Knoke flew intercept missions throughout October 1943. Each mission brought larger formations. October 4, 378 bombers. October 8, 399 bombers. October 9, 378 bombers. October 10, 384 bombers. October 14, 582 bombers in 2 waves. On October 14, Knoke engaged a formation over Bremen. At Fortin 23, Knoke destroyed 1 B-17. At Fortin 27, he destroyed a second. At Fortin 31, he damaged a third severely enough that it left formation and later crashed over the North Sea. Knoke landed, rearmed, and launched again at 15:15. He engaged a second wave at 15:47. He destroyed 1 B-17 at 15:49. He damaged 2 more at 15:52 and 15:54. He landed at 16:35, exhausted. 6 bomber destroyed or damaged in 1 day, a superb performance by Luftwaffe standards. The mission continued without him. 60 B-17s were shot down that day. The Americans launched 582. They lost 60. They landed 522. American aircraft production in October 1943 replaced those 60 lost bombers in 16 hours. On October 20, Oberst Mölders led an intercept mission against a formation of 412 B-17s approaching Berlin. German radar tracked the formation from 200 miles out. Luftwaffe fighters scrambled from 12 bases. 230 fighters assembled for coordinated attack. At 11:33, the first German fighters engaged. At 11:36, they destroyed 4 B-17s. At 11:39, 6 more fell. The Americans maintained formation discipline and continued toward the target. At 11:43, Oberst Werner Mölders attacked a B-17 from 6 o'clock high. His third-aim cannon struck the bomber's number 3 engine. The engine exploded. Mölders pressed his attack. At 11:43, 15.50 caliber round from the B-17's tail gun struck Mölders' Bf-109 in the coolant system. At 11:43:22, his engine seized. At 11:43:38, Mölders attempted to bail out. His canopy jammed. At 11:43:51, Mölders' aircraft struck the ground 12 miles southwest of Berlin. Elapsed time from engagement to death, 51 seconds. The engagement continued for 93 minutes. American losses: 31 bombers destroyed, 78 damaged. German losses: 42 fighters destroyed, 31 damaged, 27 pilots killed, 14 wounded. Kill ratio: 0.74 to 1. For the first time, German fighter losses exceeded American bomber losses. This wasn't combat. This was systematic annihilation through numerical superiority. November 1943, production crescendo. At Ford Willow Run, the assembly line reached peak efficiency: 1 B-24 every 55 minutes. Every hour, 1.09 bombers. Every day, 26.2 bombers. Every week, 183 bombers. Every month, 785 bombers. This single facility produced more than the entire German aviation industry across all aircraft types. Americans at Willow Run produced more 4-engine bombers in 1 month than Germany produced military aircraft of all categories in the same period. Americans discarded 420 tons of aluminum, scrap monthly at Willow Run. Germany allocated 720 tons of aluminum monthly to all fighter production nationwide. The waste from this single facility represented 58% of Germany's total fighter production material allocation. If Willow Run's discarded aluminum had been shipped to Germany, it would have increased German fighter production by 37%. Workers threw away defective ball bearings that failed quality inspection. Willow Run used 2.4 million ball bearings monthly in B-24 production. Quality control rejected approximately 43,000 bearings monthly, 1.8% rejection rate. Those 43,000 rejected bearings represented more bearings than the entire Schweinfurt ball bearing complex produced for all of Germany's war industries in 1 week. American workers threw away more ball bearings weekly than Germany's most critical strategic industry produced for all purposes. The Willow Run cafeteria served 52,000 meals daily across 3 shifts. Each meal provided 2,800 calories, more than Luftwaffe pilots received on flight days. The cafeteria menu included fresh beef, pork, chicken, eggs, milk, butter, cheese, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, bread, desserts, coffee, and soft drinks, all without rationing, all available in unlimited quantities. Daily cafeteria food cost, $18,400. Daily food waste, $2,100. The discarded food from one day at Willow Run exceeded the monthly food allocation for a Luftwaffe fighter squadron of 48 pilots and 320 ground personnel. Testing protocols required firing 240,000 rounds of .50 caliber ammunition monthly through weapons mounted on test B-24s. This testing ammunition, used solely to verify that weapons functioned correctly and that aircraft structures could withstand firing stresses, exceeded the monthly combat ammunition allocation for an entire Luftwaffe fighter Geschwader of 120 aircraft. Americans fired more ammunition in testing than German pilots received for combat. The discarded material, wasted food, rejected components, and testing losses from Willow Run represented enough resources to build and operate a Luftwaffe Geschwader of 120 Bf-109s for 3 months. This single American factory's waste exceeded the material requirements for an entire German fighter wing conducting combat operations. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber calculated that American aircraft production in November 1943 would reach 8,140 aircraft of all types. German production, 1,263 aircraft of all types. American four-engine bomber production, 2,387 aircraft. German four-engine aircraft production, 42 aircraft. Weber presented these figures to Luftwaffe High Command on November 15, 1943. His report concluded, American production superiority has achieved 5-to-1 numerical advantage in heavy bombers, with trajectory indicating 10-to-1 advantage by June 1944. No tactical innovation can overcome this disparity. We are attempting to defeat industrial capacity with pilot skill. The mathematics are unfavorable. The report was acknowledged and filed. Goering issued orders forbidding defeatist statistical analysis that undermines fighting spirit. January 6, 1944. Over Bremen, 1347 hours, 736 American heavy bombers appeared over northwest Germany. Lieutenant Heinz Knoke scrambled with Jagdschwader 11. Knoke had flown 1,850 combat sorties. He had destroyed 27 Allied aircraft. He was an experienced fighter ace with the Knight's Cross. At 13:47, Knoke engaged the bomber stream. The engagement lasted 14 minutes, far shorter than previous battles because German fighters exhausted their ammunition against the sheer number of targets and were forced to disengage. At 13:49, Knoke destroyed 1 B-17. Kill time 92 seconds. At 13:52, he damaged a second B-17 that later crashed. At 13:55, he damaged a third. At 13:58, he destroyed a fourth. At 14:01, his ammunition was exhausted. Total engagement duration, 14 minutes. Enemy losses from Knoke's attacks, 2 confirmed destroyed, 2 probable destroyed. American losses from all German fighters, 38 bombers destroyed out of 736 launched. Kill ratio, 4.75 to 1. A successful mission by Luftwaffe standards. German losses, 8 fighters destroyed, 6 damaged, 6 pilots killed. The ammunition expended in this 14-minute engagement exceeded the monthly allocation for 2 Luftwaffe fighter bases combined. Approximately 340,000 rounds of machine gun ammunition and 28,000 rounds of cannon ammunition fired by 180 German fighters. Knoke landed at Oldenburg at 14:15. He climbed out of his aircraft and looked up. The contrails were still visible, a grid of white lines stretching across the entire sky, marking where 736 bombers had passed overhead. The contrails formed a pattern so dense it resembled a white net draped across the blue sky. Knoke walked to operations and filed his mission report. He included his aircraft's gun camera footage showing the destruction of 2 B-17s. He noted in his report, "Enemy formation strength continues to increase." Today's mission involved more than 700 bombers. Our unit destroyed or damaged approximately 40 bombers while losing 8 fighters. If the enemy can sustain such losses without reducing mission frequency or formation size, then numerical advantage has become absolute. We are destroying 5 bombers for every fighter lost, and the enemy formations grow larger. Knoke's report was filed with dozens of similar reports. All reported the same observation: larger formations, sustainable losses, no reduction in American operational tempo despite casualties. The pattern was undeniable. March 1944, statistical reality. American production in January 1944, 2,877 four-engine bombers. February, 2,904. March, 3,117. First quarter 1944 total, 8,898 four-engine heavy bombers. German four-engine aircraft production, first quarter 1944, 128 aircraft total. American production, 8,898 heavy bombers. German production, 128 four-engine aircraft. Single American facility, Ford Willow Run March production, 893 B-24s. Entire German aviation industry, all four-engine aircraft. 38 aircraft in March. This single facility exceeded Germany's entire national production capability by 23-1. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber updated his analysis monthly. His March report documented the following: American heavy bomber force strength as of March 1, 1944, 5,847 operational aircraft in European theater of operations. German fighter force strength, 1,650 operational aircraft. Numerical ratio, 3.5-1. American replacement rate, 350 heavy bombers weekly. German fighter replacement rate, 85 aircraft weekly. Loss ratios favor Germany at 4.2-1, but replacement ratios favor America at 4.1-1. Net effect: American numerical advantage increases weekly despite favorable German kill ratios. Current trajectory indicates American force strength will reach 8,000 heavy bombers by June 1944, while German force strength will decline to 1,400 fighters by same date due to pilot attrition and fuel shortages. Weber's report included interrogation summaries from captured American aircrews. One B-17 pilot, captured after his aircraft was shot down over Hamburg, stated, "We know about 1 in 10 aircraft will be lost. We accept that. But there are 20 guys behind me ready to take my place. Your pilots shoot us down, but our factories build bombers faster than you can shoot them down. It's mathematics." Another captured American bombardier stated, "Every week my squadron gets new aircraft to replace losses. Sometimes we get more aircraft than we lost. Last month we lost 4 B-17s in our squadron. We received 7 new ones. We have more aircraft now than we did before the mission where we lost 4. A captured B-24 navigator stated, "I saw a P-51 Mustang that had built in Los Angeles Monday painted on the fuselage. The pilot told me the aircraft was completed on Monday, delivered to England on Friday, and flew its first combat mission on Sunday. 5 days from factory to combat. June 6, 1944. D-Day, Normandy coast. 13,000 Allied aircraft supported the invasion. 8,000 American, 5,000 British and Commonwealth." The Luftwaffe managed 319 sorties on June 6 total, across all of France, all of Normandy, all German air bases within range. Ratio: 13,000 to 319. 40-1 Allied numerical superiority. The Luftwaffe fighters that engaged were overwhelmed within minutes by vast swarms of Allied aircraft. German pilots reported seeing P-51 Mustangs at every altitude, P-47 Thunderbolts attacking ground targets, B-17s and B-24s bombing coastal defenses, medium bombers attacking communications centers, and reconnaissance aircraft mapping every German position. The sky was filled with Allied aircraft. Lieutenant Heinz Knoke flew 3 sorties on June 6. He encountered Allied fighters on all 3 sorties. He engaged 12 times. He damaged 1 P-47. He was forced to disengage 11 times due to numerical inferiority. Knoke landed after his 3rd sortie and reported, "The sky is black with their aircraft. I counted over 200 aircraft visible simultaneously from my cockpit. When I engage one, 4 more attack me. When I disengage, I encounter more. There is no space above Normandy that is not filled with Allied aircraft. The ammunition expended by Allied aircraft on June 6 exceeded Germany's total monthly ammunition production for all purposes, military and civilian. Allied aircraft fired approximately 14 million rounds of machine gun ammunition and 1.8 million rounds of cannon ammunition on D-Day. Germany's monthly ammunition production for all small arms and aircraft weapons, 12 million rounds. The Allies expended more ammunition in one day than Germany produced in 1 month. Knoke flew 68 combat sorties in June 1944. He encountered Allied aircraft on 66 of those sorties. He achieved 3 kills. He was forced to disengage without engaging 48 times due to overwhelming Allied numerical superiority. His aircraft was hit by Allied fire 14 times. He made 5 emergency landings. His squadron, which began June with 28 operational fighters, ended June with 11 operational fighters. German losses: 17 fighters destroyed, 9 damaged, 12 pilots killed, 5 wounded. The squadron received 9 replacement aircraft and 4 replacement pilots during June. Net loss: 8 fighters and 8 experienced pilots. The squadron's operational strength declined by 60% in 30 days. August 1944. Total air supremacy. American heavy bomber missions in August 1944 routinely involved over 1,000 aircraft. August 3. 1,147 heavy bombers. August 5, 1,213 heavy bombers. August 15, 1,387 heavy bombers. August 24, 1,502 heavy bombers over 3 target complexes simultaneously. The Luftwaffe scrambled 60 fighters against the August 24 missions. The Germans destroyed 11 American bombers. The Americans lost less than 1% of attacking forces. Kill ratio: 0.18 to 1 German favor. For every German fighter lost, Germans destroyed less than 1 American bomber. The mathematics had become catastrophic. American forces were bombing Germany with 1,500 aircraft simultaneously while losing fewer than 15 aircraft per mission. American aircraft production in August 1944, 9,089 aircraft of all types. German production, 3,103 aircraft of all types, the highest monthly production Germany achieved during the entire war. American production was 3 times German production at Germany's production peak. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber survived the war because he was assigned to intelligence duties and did not fly combat missions. On August 12, 1944, Weber was ordered to report to Luftwaffe High Command with updated production analyses. Weber presented data showing that America was producing 350 heavy bombers weekly, 50 bombers daily. America was completing 1 4-engine bomber every 29 minutes, around the clock, 7 days per week. Weber presented data showing that this production rate exceeded German production of all aircraft types by 3.8 to 1. Field Marshal Erhard Milch, attending the briefing, asked Weber, "How do they achieve this production rate?" Weber responded, "They have industrialized the industrialization process itself. They build factories to build factories. They build assembly lines to build assembly lines. Ford's Willow Run plant was built in 18 months and produces 1 B-24 every 55 minutes. They built the largest aircraft factory in the world in the time required for us to expand existing facilities by 10%. They don't just outproduce us. They have revolutionized production itself." Milch asked, "Can we replicate their methods?" Weber answered, "No, Herr Feldmarschall. Their methods require resources we lack. Unlimited aluminum, unlimited rubber, unlimited petroleum, unlimited electrical capacity, unlimited skilled labor, unlimited capital investment, unlimited everything. They have excess capacity. We have maximum effort. Their excess capacity exceeds our maximum effort. A single American factory's waste stream contains more resources than we allocate to entire production programs." Lieutenant Heinz Knoke flew his final combat mission on December 30, 1944. He engaged a formation of B-17s over Hanover. He damaged 1 B-17 before American P-51 escorts forced him to disengage. He landed at Paderborn with his aircraft damaged by .50 caliber fire in 11 places. Knoke had survived 2,435 combat sorties, more than any Allied fighter pilot flew during the entire war. He had destroyed 33 Allied aircraft. He had been shot down 8 times, wounded twice, and had made 23 emergency landings due to combat damage. He was alive because he was extraordinarily skilled and extraordinarily lucky. Knoke wrote in his logbook that night, "I saw over 700 bombers today, 700. Each one carries 4 tons of bombs. That is 2,800 tons of explosives in one formation. They flew in perfect formation. They bombed with precision. Their escorts drove us away. We couldn't touch them. The sky belongs to them now. We are spectators at our own destruction." May 8, 1945. Interrogation Center, Wiesbaden, Germany. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber sat across from an American intelligence officer. The American had Weber's complete intelligence analyses from 1943 and 1944, documents recovered from Luftwaffe headquarters. The American officer asked Weber to explain his conclusions. Weber spoke in fluent English. "We were not defeated by better soldiers. We were defeated by better factories. Your B-17 was not superior to our Bf-109. Your pilots were not superior to our pilots. Your tactics were not superior to our tactics, but you had 15 B-17s for every Bf-109 we could field. Then 20. Then 30. The mathematics became overwhelming. A single American factory, Willow Run, produced more heavy bombers than our entire aviation industry produced of all aircraft types. Your excess capacity exceeded our maximum effort. We brought swords to a production war." The American officer asked about German production capabilities. Weber explained, "Your intelligence estimates were too high. You believed Germany could produce 5,000 aircraft monthly at peak capacity. We never exceeded 3,500 aircraft monthly of all types combined. You produced 9,000 aircraft monthly in peak months. You outproduced us 3-to-1 at your peak versus our peak. But the ratio was worse in critical categories. Heavy bombers, 50-to-1. You built 54-engine bombers for every one we built. Fighters, we achieved 2-to-1 production advantage over you in fighters, but you shot down our fighters faster than we could replace them because you had more fighters in the air despite building fewer. You achieved aerial superiority through operational tempo enabled by fuel abundance, pilot abundance, and ammunition abundance." Lieutenant Heinz Knoke was interviewed separately. The American intelligence officer asked about morale and combat effectiveness. Knoke stated, "I saw formations of 1,000 bombers. 1,000 aircraft in the sky simultaneously. Each aircraft carried 4 tons of bombs. That's 4,000 tons of explosives approaching one German city. We scrambled 50 fighters against them. We shot down 20 bombers, excellent results by our standards. 20 destroyed from 1,000 attacking. They lost 2% and continued the mission. The next day they came again, and the next day, and the next. They could lose 20 bombers daily forever and never reduce formation size because your factories replaced them overnight. The mathematics were absolute. You could sustain losses indefinitely. We could not." Additional testimonies from captured Luftwaffe personnel included systematic recognition that industrial capacity determined the outcome. "We brought experience and skill to a production war. They brought factories. Their excess capacity exceeded our maximum effort. They could lose 3 aircraft for everyone they destroyed and still win through attrition. The mathematics were unanswerable. They built 50 bombers weekly from one factory. We built 50 fighters weekly from our entire industry. They had 20 such factories." American production statistics compiled from captured German intelligence documents showed that German analysts had accurately assessed American capacity by mid-1943, but that leadership rejected the analysis as defeatist. American 4-engine bomber production, 1943, 21,000 aircraft. German 4-engine aircraft production, 1943, 470 aircraft. Ratio, 45-to-1. American total aircraft production, 1944, 96,000 aircraft. German total aircraft production, 1944, 37,000 aircraft. Ratio, 2.6-to-1 overall, but ratios exceeded 10-to-1 in strategic categories: heavy bombers, long-range fighters, transport aircraft, training aircraft. One captured document, authored by Weber in November 1944, stated, "The Americans have achieved something unprecedented in military history. They have built an air force so large that they can sustain any level of casualties indefinitely without reducing operational tempo. They can lose 100 bombers daily, 36,500 annually, and maintain current force strength through production alone." We cannot shoot down American aircraft faster than American factories replace them. The mathematics have become impossible. Entire American factories, singular, produced more heavy bombers in 1944 than Germany produced military aircraft of all categories. This is not combat. This is industrial annihilation. April 1945. Final testimony. Hauptmann Friedrich Weber provided a final assessment to American intelligence officers in April 1945, 1 week before German surrender. His statement included, "You won the war in Detroit and Los Angeles and Seattle, not over Hamburg and Berlin. The Battle of Germany was fought at Willow Run and Consolidated and Boeing. Every rivet installed by an American factory worker was a bullet aimed at Germany. You defeated us with production schedules, not battle plans. The war was over when you converted automobile factories to aircraft production. We were fighting an enemy that could lose 3 aircraft for every 1 destroyed and win through attrition. No amount of courage or skill overcomes 50-to-1 numerical inferiority." Weber continued, "Your soldiers were not better than our soldiers. Your tanks were not better than our tanks. Your generals were not better than our generals, but your factories were better than our factories. Your economy was better than our economy. Your industrial capacity was better than our industrial capacity. You had abundance. We had scarcity. You had excess. We had maximum effort. Your excess exceeded our maximum. That determined everything. The side with more bullets, more bombs, more fuel, more food, more steel, more aluminum, more copper, more rubber, that side wins modern industrial warfare. You had more of everything. We had more of nothing. The mathematics were absolute." The lesson proved broader than one campaign. American industrial mobilization demonstrated that free economies outproduced command economies. Willow Run employed 42,000 workers producing aircraft. None were slaves. All were paid. All were voluntary. All were motivated by wages, not ideology. Democratic capitalism outproduced fascist control economics. Free workers building bombers for wages proved more productive than slave labor building weapons under guard. The B-24 assembly line proved that democratic organization exceeded totalitarian command structures in efficiency, innovation, and scale. The story of American bomber production validated democratic institutions. Free peoples, freely organized, using free markets and voluntary cooperation, outproduced and ultimately defeated totalitarian systems based on coercion and control. The factories that built B-17s and B-24s were staffed by former salesmen, secretaries, teachers, farmers, and housewives. None of them professional aircraft builders, all of them trained in weeks, all of them achieving production levels that exceeded German facilities staffed by lifetime aerospace workers. American industrial democracy proved superior to German industrial autocracy in every measurable category. The final testimony came from Heinz Knoke in May 1945. "I believe German pilots were the best in the world. We were. I believe German aircraft were the best in the world. They were. I believe German tactics were superior. They were. None of that mattered. You brought an entire economy to war. You mobilized every factory, every farm, every mine, every worker. You converted your entire nation into a war machine, but you did it freely, with workers who volunteered and were paid and could quit if they wished. You proved that free peoples fight harder and work harder than slaves. You proved that democracies mobilize more effectively than dictatorships when truly threatened. You proved that the side with more resources, freely organized, wins. I learned that lesson at 24,000 feet over Germany, watching 1,000 bombers approach, knowing that shooting down 50 wouldn't matter because you'd send 1,000 more tomorrow. The mathematics were absolute, and the mathematics proved that free peoples, when committed to war, outproduce and overwhelm dictatorships. That is the lesson of the air war over Germany. The philosophical coda. The B-24 Liberator proved that democratic industrial capacity exceeds authoritarian production when free peoples mobilize completely. Free workers outproduced slaves by margins that shocked both sides. Democratic cooperation exceeded totalitarian command efficiency. Industrial abundance, American workers producing bombers in climate-controlled factories, while eating unlimited food, buried ideological claims of totalitarian superiority under mountains of aircraft aluminum, rivers of aviation gasoline, and endless streams of .50 caliber ammunition. The mathematics spoke clearly. One free worker produced more than 2 slave laborers. One free economy outproduced controlled economies by 3-1, and one mobilized democracy exceeded fascist industrial capacity by margins that determined history. May 12, 1943, Oberst Werner Mölders had laughed at American industrial capacity. "The Americans believe they can bomb Germany in daylight with flying barns," he said. May 8, 1945, Mölders was dead, the Luftwaffe was destroyed, Germany was occupied, and 12,000 American bombers controlled German skies. Their mockery became history's most catastrophic miscalculation, measured in 410,000 dead Luftwaffe personnel, 600,000 German civilians killed by strategic bombing, and a 1,000-year Reich that lasted 12 years. The lesson remains: dismissing democratic nations as weak because they prefer peace or underestimating free people's productive capacity when committed to war invites catastrophic miscalculation. Free peoples produce more, fight harder, and sustain longer than any system based on coercion. The mathematics are historical record. The B-24 assembly line at Willow Run proved it conclusively. Democracy, when fully mobilized, buries tyranny under production statistics so overwhelming that courage and skill become irrelevant variables in equations dominated by factory output, resource allocation, and industrial capacity. That lesson, written in aluminum and blood across German skies, endures.